Level 1, Schutze, you're 18 years old. You're standing outside a grey concrete building in Altenstadt, Bavaria. It's early March, the air is cold. It smells like diesel, frost, and wet grass. You don't know anyone here. The guy to your left is from Hamburg. The one to your right hasn't spoken since the bus pulled in. Nobody has. A Feldwebel walks the line. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. He looks at each of you for exactly 2 seconds, then moves on. You get the feeling he's already made a decision about you. You just don't know what it is yet. They hand you your kit, boots, uniform, a bed number, a locker number. You are that number now. The first week is pure physical pain, runs before sunrise, push-ups until your arms stop being arms. The obstacle course at Altenstadt doesn't forgive. Mud pits, log carries, rope climbs with hands that won't properly close. You fall twice on the wall section. The Feldwebel doesn't yell, he just watches. That's somehow worse. Most recruits break here, not from the body, from the mind. The thought that creeps in at 500 when it's dark and raining and you're on your 4th kilometer. The thought that says, you could leave, you don't leave, you write home once. Short letter, you say you're doing fine, you don't mention crying in the shower on day 3, not from pain, from something harder to name. The loneliness of realizing this is real now, there's no going back, but you keep moving, and that's the whole thing. That's always been the whole thing. Level 2, Jeffrater. Basic is behind you, you're not stumbling anymore, you know where the mud thickens, you know to tape your heels before a long run, you know to eat when you can, sleep when you're allowed, and never hesitate in front of them. Then the parachute training begins. This is where everything changes. The first time they put you in the harness and run you through the mock door, your stomach is tight, you expected fear, but something else shows up instead. Focus, body position. Exit angle, count, pull, check canopy. It's a sequence. A discipline you trust. That the first real jump is from a C-160 Transall, 800 feet. Drop zone at Wildflecken. You shuffle to the door with 7 others. The jumpmaster checks your static line. You look through the open door. Fields, a river, grey sky. This is the moment that decides everything. You don't think, you go. The wind hits you like a wall. Then the chute opens. And then silence, not complete silence. The straps creak. The canopy shifts, but the roar is gone. You're descending slowly over Bavaria with nothing around you and everything below. For 11 seconds, you're not a rank, not a number, just a person falling through cold German air. You land harder than expected, knees absorb it. Roll, stand, you've earned your Fallschirmjäger, the parachutist badge. You pin it to your chest and try not to look at it too often. You don't want them to see how much it means to you. Level 3, Oberjeffreiter. You've been assigned to a battalion, 3rd Company. Stationed near Seedorf, Lower Saxony, flat land, pine forest, long grey winters. Your section is 8 men. Your Gruppenführer is an Unteroffizier named Brandt, 27 years old. He's already been to Kosovo. He doesn't talk about it. But when he gives an order, you move, not because of the rank, because of the way he says it. The training gets tactical now. Fire and movement drills across open fields at dawn. Ambush setups in tree lines. Urban navigation in the mock village near the training ground. You learn to read a map until it becomes instinct. Radio communication until it becomes breathing. You get attached to your rifle, not emotionally. Practically, you know how it sounds, how it feels in your hands after an 8-kilometer march. You clean it at night when you can't sleep, not because you have to, because it gives your hands something to do. Your first deployment comes, a NATO exercise in Lithuania, near Pabrade, Baltic autumn, cold ground, 3 weeks. You're operating with Dutch and Belgian units. The exercise scenario is a simulated air assault operation. Your company jumps onto a defended drop zone at 400. Everything feels real. And then the timing breaks. A section gets inserted 2 kilometers off target. Brandt holds the objective with 5 men for 40 minutes. You're one of those 5. Lying in wet pine needles at 330, weapon up. Not moving, waiting. Brandt crouches beside you. He says nothing for a long time, then quietly, "Move until I move." You don't. 40 minutes later, the section arrives. The objective holds. You eat a cold ration meal in the dark and sleep for 3 hours on the forest floor. You learn more in those 40 minutes than in weeks of training. Not tactics. Patience. Level 4, Hauptjeffreiter. You've been watching the older soldiers. The ones who have been to Afghanistan, Mali, Kosovo. You see it in the way they move. Not aggression, not bravado, precision. Like they've decided exactly how much to care about things, and they don't waste a single unit of it. You want that. Your unit gets attached to the NATO Very High Readiness Joint Task Force. 4 months of pre-deployment training, hostage rescue scenarios, hasty defensive positions, helicopter fast roping from German CH-53C Stallions. The fast rope is different from jumping. Jumping is passive after the door. The rope is all grip and speed, and the decision of when to let go. First time down, you come too fast. Hit the ground at a bad angle, ankle takes it. You limp for 3 days, tell no one, one mistake, and it's over. You can't afford to be the weak point. You deploy to Lithuania again. Not an exercise this time, real mission. Enhanced forward presence, patrolling near the Suwalki Gap. The narrow land corridor between Poland and Lithuania, one of the most strategically fragile points in all of Europe. NATO planners have nightmares about this strip of ground. Now you're walking it. That weight is different from training. You know what this ground means. You know why you're here. The patrols are mostly quiet. You move through farmland and pine forest, checkpoint to checkpoint, boxes and boots. One morning near Village Road, a small girl runs toward your patrol, maybe 6 years old. She holds out a piece of paper, crayon drawing, a figure in uniform, a parachute above it. Your interpreter smiles. She knows who you are, he says. You take the drawing, you fold it carefully, you put it in your jacket pocket, you carry it the rest of the deployment. Level 5, Unteroffizier. They promoted you not because you asked, because they decided you were ready. There's a difference. You are now section second. You have people looking to you, not many, not always. But in the moment when the Gruppenführer steps away or goes down, you are the answer. You feel that constantly, not as pressure, as a low hum beneath everything. Your section gets tasked for a joint exercise with the 173rd Airborne Brigade, Vicenza, Italy. American paratroopers. They are loud, confident, extremely well-equipped, better parachutes, better night vision, faster logistics, but they are still learning to be patient. 2 weeks at Hohenfels, Bavaria, the Joint Multinational Readiness Center, most realistic training environment in Europe. The opposing force fights back, adapts, punishes mistakes. On day 9, your patrol hits a complex ambush scenario, 3 simulated casualties, communication degraded, 2 kilometers from the coordination point. The American sergeant next to you freezes. Not from fear, from indecision, too many options. No quick filter. This is where most people fail. You take one breath, you say one sentence. You take left, I take right, we move to the ditch. He moves, your section moves, you reach cover, you reorganize, you get out. Afterward, the American sergeant finds you at debrief. He shakes your hand. That was clean, he says. You nod, you don't say anything back. There's nothing to say. In that ditch you were afraid. You just didn't let the fear sit in the driver's seat. That's the whole thing. That's always been the whole thing. Level 6, Stabsunteroffizier. 6 years in, your body has a record of all of it. A scar below your left knee from the obstacle course, calluses that never fully go away, a clicking in your right shoulder from the fast rope incident you never reported. You are now responsible for your section's full battle readiness, personnel, equipment, training schedules, and the quiet human management of 8 very different men under constant strain. One of your men is struggling, young Jeffrater named Hoffman. Nobody else has noticed yet, but you have. He's sleeping less, laughing too fast at jokes, recleaning his rifle during off hours for no reason. You don't file a report. You go sit next to him one evening in the common room. You don't ask directly, you talk football, his hometown of Dresden. Whether the new Bundeswehr ration packs are worse than before, they are. After about 20 minutes he says quietly, I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be. You sit with that, you don't rush it, then you say, feeling doesn't mean you're wrong, it just means you're thinking. He doesn't respond, but he sleeps that night. You watch him over the next few weeks. He stabilizes, completes the next rotation. A year later he re-enlists. You never mention the conversation again, neither does he. This is the part of the job they never put in the training manual. Level 7, Feldwebel. 7 years in, you are section leader now, full weight of it. You are not just responsible for training and performance anymore. You are responsible for whether your men come home. That thought lives in you permanently. It doesn't paralyze you, but it changes every decision you make. Your battalion receives orders for Mali. Operation EUTM Mali, European Union Training Mission. The word training sounds mild. It is not. Gao, northern Mali. The landscape is biblical sand, rock heat that sits on you like something physical. The air smells of dust and burning wood, no trees, just sky and earth and nothing in between. Your job is to train a Malian infantry unit in basic tactics. But the challenge isn't tactical, it's foundational. These men have been through things that broke everything around them. Some have lost villages. Brothers, they don't trust procedure because procedure has failed them. You spend the first week just showing up, same time, same place, consistent. You run the drills, you correct without humiliating. You learn enough French to give commands directly, without always going through the interpreter. 3 weeks in, a Malian corporal stops you before training. Through the interpreter he says, you are here to go home. You are here because this is home. You think about that line for weeks. You run the training harder after that, not because you want them to perform for NATO, because you want them to survive. There's a difference, and they can feel which one it is. 3 months in, a mortar attack hits near the perimeter. You count your section immediately, 8 for 8. That night you sit outside your quarters. You look at the Mali sky, more stars than you've ever seen in your life. The silence is enormous. You reach into your jacket. The crayon drawing from Lithuania is still there, worn now, faded, but still there. Level 8, Oberfeldwebel. 9 years. The battalion has changed around you, faces rotate. Some men finish their contracts and go, some get injured, some stay and become part of the long furniture of the unit. You are now the senior NCO of your platoon. You brief the platoon commander. You manage upward and downward simultaneously. The officers are younger than you now. Some of them, fresh from the officer academy, are sharp and well-read, but they haven't yet made a decision that cost them anything. Your job is to give the lieutenant everything he needs to command well. Full information, honest assessment, no false comfort. When his operation plan has a gap, you tell him quietly directly before the briefing, not during it. He learns to trust that. A joint airborne exercise in Poland, north of Poznan, cold flat terrain, battalion-level air assault, contested drop zone. Multiple objectives, night operations, most complex thing you've been part of. The night of the main jump, the weather deteriorates, wind speed exceeds the safe jump threshold. The battalion commander must decide, jump or abort. He jumps. 120 men exit into gusting Baltic wind at 215 cloud base low. Drop zone, lights barely visible. You land 300 meters from your designated point. Check orientation. Move to rally. Count your section. 7 for 8. Your heart stops, then over the radio. Muller here, 200 meters north. Ankle sprain, still mobile. 7 and 1, you move to extract him. He walks with his hand on your shoulder. The objective is seized by 4:30. You debrief until sunrise. At the end, you sit on a wooden bench outside the operations tent. Your lieutenant sits beside you. He says, "Muller is going to be fine." You nod. He says, "You taught me to count before I celebrate." You look at him. He's 24 years old, and he's already starting to understand level 9, Hauptfeldwebel. 11 years in, you are the Hauptfeldwebel now. The company's senior soldier. Your title is simply Spieß. That's not a rank, that's a weight. You sit between the officer world and the enlisted world, and you make them fit together. 12 lieutenants have come through this company while you've been here. You've watched them grow, struggle, succeed, fail quietly, and leave with handshakes and unit coins. You've buried none of them. You are grateful for that every single day. The bureaucracy is enormous. Personnel files, readiness reports, leave schedules, equipment accountability, a river of problems that flows through you constantly. But that is not the real job. The real job is knowing every man in this company, not their file, them, who's having trouble at home, who's looking for a reason to stay, who's one bad week from making a decision they can't take back. You carry all of it. A young soldier named Kern comes to you, 2 years in. He wants to apply for KSK selection, Kommando Spezialkräfte, Germany's Special Operations Command. He's technically qualified, strong, fast, skilled, but you've watched him. He solves problems with energy. He doesn't yet know how to solve them with patience. You don't discourage him, you say, put in for selection. But go in knowing the hardest thing they test isn't what you think. He asks what you mean. Break your plan, then they'll watch what you become when you have no plan. He sits with that. He applies a year later. He passes. He comes back once before moving on, shakes your hand, says, "You were right. That's enough. That's always been enough." Level 10, Stabsfeldwebel, 14 years. The Fallschirmjäger has changed around you. New equipment, new aircraft, new geopolitical weight. The Suwalki Gap isn't just a training scenario anymore. It's in every serious planning briefing. The world got louder, the job got heavier, but some things haven't changed. The morning run, the count, the sound of a transport aircraft at altitude, the way a section, when it's working perfectly, moves through terrain like a single organism. You've made 247 jumps. You stopped counting at 200. Your records don't lie. Lithuania, Poland, Mali, Kosovo, France, Italy. Fort Bragg once, for a combined exercise with the 82nd Airborne. A deployment you still can't fully talk about. You've trained over 60 men who are still serving. Some of them outrank you now. That doesn't bother you. That was always the goal. You sit in your office one evening after the company has cleared out. The building is quiet, fluorescent light, floor polish, old paper. Your desk has one photograph on it, your section from the Mali deployment. 8 faces squinting into the Saharan sun. Brandt retired 2 years ago. He texts you about football sometimes. You always respond. Hoffman, the young soldier you sat with in the common room, is a section leader now, deployed twice. Strong NCO, good man Muller, who landed 300 meters off target with a sprained ankle in Poland. He re-enlisted last year. He wants to make Feldwebel. You sit quietly with all of it. You think about the door of the C-160, your first jump, the way the wind hit you, the way the chute opened and the roar went quiet. Those 11 seconds of falling through cold German air above Bavaria. You were nobody then, no rank, no history, no calluses, just a kid who needed to know if he could. You reach into your desk drawer. The crayon drawing is still there, worn and faded. The edges soft from years of folding and unfolding. A soldier in uniform, a parachute above him, drawn by a 6-year-old girl on a Lithuanian road who somehow understood what you were. Before you did, you hold it for a moment. Then you set it down, you stand up, turn off the light, walk out into the cold German evening. The sky is clear and dark and full of stars. You look up the way you always do, the way you've always done, not looking for the aircraft, not calculating wind. Just looking, because some part of you will always be standing at that door, waiting to step out, waiting to know. And now you do. That was always the point.